Everyone, this is Dave with Mile High Drone Services, and today we're going to talk about version 4 of the firmware for the Remote ID Receiver. From now on, the Remote ID Receiver is going to be called the UAS Sentry, and starting with version 4 of the firmware, we not only have a lot more capabilities that we've added, we've got more hardware that we've added. If you want more information, you can go to uassentry.com, or you can go to milehighdroneservices.com. The two entities are going to be working very close together. So let's get on to version 4 of the firmware and the hardware. The first thing that we want to talk about is we now have what we were selling as the bare bones remote ID receiver. We now have a case for it with a battery. So we have a standalone unit, turn it on here, that is a remote ID receiver to detect drones and tell you all sorts of information. So this will make it much more convenient to use. You don't have to have an external battery anymore, and we are calling this the ultra portable UAS Sentry, since it just fits in your pocket. And we've added a lot of capabilities to this guy, so we'll get to that in a minute. The next new hardware that we've added is this guy. Much larger screen. In fact, it's a touch screen. And if we turn it on here, you can probably see it's much easier to read. And we've put in a lot of capabilities into this firmware as well, and we'll get into that. In fact, 90% of the features that this guy can do can also be done with the portable, or the ultra portable. This guy has 3 expansion ports onto it. Right now they're not used, but we plan to add peripherals, things like, maybe a flashing LED, an alarm, a tactile feedback device, and so you can just plug them directly into there and get added capabilities. Those are not yet available, those are being worked on. And the next is the same box, but with an external antenna to boost the range. So these are basically the same box, little different hardware in this guy for the antenna, and we have been getting what we think are incredible detection ranges for detecting drones. I'm not going to specify what those numbers are. We will put those on the website when we're ready, but we think it's pretty good. So the also real big news that we have, and that will work on the touchscreen and the ultra portable model, is smartphone integration. These guys will all connect wirelessly to your smartphone. We have an app that runs on the smartphone, so you can do all your configuration through the smartphone. You can bring up Apple Maps, well, it actually brings up Apple Maps for you, and it will show you all the drones in the air and the associated information, the height, altitude, speed, that kind of stuff. So we'll get into that. And we've also added, like I said, a lot of additional firmware capabilities, including the concept of having a perimeter. So when a drone enters a perimeter, you can get a push notification on your phone. And it can not only be you, it can be other people. So if you have a command operations center that wants to be notified when a drone enters a particular area, for example, maybe around a wildfire, the troops on the ground can get a notification, as well as the command center, so they can take appropriate action. One thing we're going to use to demonstrate all this, since obviously I'm not out in the field, don't have a drone in the air, and this is a product that we are not selling, but this is a remote ID transmitter. And this will emulate, well, it'll emulate up to 12 drones in the air simultaneously. Right now it's programmed for 3 drones. So when we turn this on, it'll be just like we're at the field and we've got 3 drones flying around us. Much easier to talk about all the features and capabilities inside a room versus outside in a field with the wind blowing and all that. So let's get to it. We'll move the cameras around and be able to zoom in so you can see the screens. We'll do screen recording on the iPhone and talk about all the different capabilities. If you've got a question about Android, yes, there will be an Android client. It's not yet available. It's going to be a while for Android. Right now, iOS is available, and information regarding costs and when we're going to be shipping this stuff will be on the Mile High Drone Services website. All these different features that we've added, you don't have to get all the features because the pricing is going to be, the units are going to be more expensive based on the capabilities. If you just want bare bones capabilities, it'll be one price point. As you start adding capabilities, it'll be another price point. One other thing I forgot to mention, we've also got a web page. As you know, these guys are connected to the cloud. So when the data is uploaded to the cloud, we now have a web page with a graphical map where you can see all of your drone activity. So that's a lot to talk about. Let's get to the first feature set. Let's go ahead and launch UAS Sentry. And the first thing it's going to say is you need to register yourself. So you hit register as new user, enter your first name, your last name, your email. I'm just going to put in a bogus email. I would not suggest you do that because if you ever forget your password and you need a password reset, the instructions will be sent to this email. Desired handle, I'm just going to say Dave. Okay, I'm now registered, so now I can go back. I can type in login. I can enter my password. Alrighty, I am now logged in with normal privileges. We also have concepts of super users and law enforcement, and if those individuals log in, they have more capabilities, but I'm just a regular user for now. So the main screen, we can see a standard map or a hybrid map, which is a satellite, and the streets. Right now it is scanning for a UAS Sentry. The Sentry is turned off, so there's not a whole lot we can do. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on the Sentry. All right, it's on and it's booting up. And it just detected the Sentry, and it also detected 3 drones in the air because the remote ID transmitter is turned on. So it also says that the Sentry has been discovered and the serial number is F412 yada yada yada, and it needs you to register this Sentry to your username. So we just hit OK. It already knows what our username is. And how do we want to identify this Sentry? So this is useful if you have more than one Sentry device. Let's say you are a system integrator and you've got 40 or 50 of these out in the field. You want to identify them. Maybe you've got them at schools or prisons. So you might say prison XYZ, South Wall or something like that. For now, I'm just going to say Dave's Sentry. And hit submit. So now it has been updated. And in a few seconds, it should notify me that, there we go, UAS Sentry, Dave's Sentry is now connected. So that's all well and good. And like I said, we've got the transmitter currently running, and it is emulating, or it is sending out signals as if it were flying drones over by the stadium where the Broncos play. And I'm just going to call it Mile High because that's what it used to be called, and that's what I'm used to. I'm going to actually reset the transmitter. I'm going to turn it off. So those drones that were detected will slowly go away. And now I'm going to turn it back on. And now we're getting drones that are in the air. And you can see there's purple and there's green ones. If they're purple, they're an unknown drone and they are flying within the perimeter. If they're green, then they've been tagged as what we identify as a friendly drone, and those will not cause an alert. And so this data is being uploaded to the cloud periodically. And that's pretty much how it works. Now, I'm going to turn off the transmitter. So those drones will disappear in a few seconds. Okay. Now let's say you want to create your own perimeter. And let's say, I don't care, let's find a park. There's Jefferson Park up there. Let's put a perimeter around Jefferson Park. So you tap change perimeter, create a new perimeter. We'll call it Jefferson Park. We'll just call it Jeff Park. And now it says tap the screen to make the new center point. So we'll go up there. And it's saying that I do not have the right permissions to store this into the cloud. So it's just going to be local. And now, if there were any drones flying in Jefferson Park, we would get notified. And if you had the correct permissions, you could have actually saved this up to the Sentry Cloud. So this would be in a list of perimeters that you have access to. And you can make these perimeters either public or private. Public will allow other people to use them. That's what we've done with a lot of the stadiums. Or private would be if it's a perimeter that you don't want to share with anybody. So that's all well and good. So now let's go to normal mode. So normal mode is it will just detect drones that are around the Sentry receiver. But one thing you can do in normal mode is you can also set up a personal perimeter around the receiver. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and find us. There we are. And actually, we've already got one set up. We've got a perimeter 300 feet around our current location. Now we can change that. Let's say we want to make it 500 feet. We just click on the setting, we go back, and it will change to 500 feet. Sometimes it takes 10 seconds for everything to sync up. There it goes. And now that is the perimeter. If a drone enters that perimeter, we will get a push notification. And you can make these things as big as you want. You go out 10 miles if you want. assuming you've got a receiver that will receive that far. So let's, I'm going to turn on another transmitter, which will emulate drones flying around us. Okay, I've turned on the transmitter, so it is now transmitting drone activity around my location, and that should show up in a few seconds once things initialize. Here they are. So a drone that is purple is within the perimeter. A drone that is not purple is outside the perimeter. And you see there are some other colors, yellow and red and also black. And let me show you what those mean. We will go to settings. And so you can set some bogeys that will cause the drone icons to change colors. And those are, you can set the distance between the drone and the pilot. Right now it is set to 1,500 feet. You can set a bogey to let you know if a drone is flying higher than a specified height. Right now that's 400 feet. And you can also specify a speed if a drone is traveling faster. Right now it's set at 100 miles an hour. If a drone is violating one of those three values, the drone will be yellow. If it's violating 2 or 3, it will be red. So there's one that's yellow. So if we tap on it, it tells us the drone is flying at 1,000 feet above the ground, which is significantly higher than 400 feet. And the distance is 1,342 feet, but remember we had it set at 1,500 feet. So that's why it's yellow. If we tap on a red one, it's flying at 1,054 feet above the ground, and the distance between the drone and the pilot is 1,509, which is greater than 1,500. So it is violating 2 of the conditions that you had set. Therefore, it is showing up as red. Now, just because a drone is flying 400 feet or higher does not necessarily mean it's violating a law. The drone pilot could have a waiver. Also, it could be that the actual elevation of the ground is below where the drone took off. So it may not really be 400 feet above the ground. This is the information that the drone is reporting. That's what that is. So that's normal mode. The next mode we'll talk about is drone avoidance. So I'm going to turn off the transmitter. Okay, so now let's talk about drone avoidance. I'm going to turn on the drone avoidance feature. And I'm going to turn the transmitter back on, and that's going to start sending drones around Mile High again. So it says 3 drones detected, but they're nowhere near me. I can hit this auto center map to drone, and that will automatically center the map to one of the drones that it sees. And there we go. I'll turn it back off so it doesn't bounce around. And so now that we have drone avoidance turned on, you can tag a drone as your drone, and we've already done that. And so you can see that there is a 200-foot radius circle around the drone. So if another drone flies within that circle, you will get a push notification, and screen will go red on the Sentry, indicating that there is the possibility, that that drone could be, I'm not going to say in your airspace because you don't own airspace, but it could be in your vicinity, so you need to be aware of it. So if you've got a visual observer helping you out, you can find out where the pilot is and you can go talk to him and make sure he's aware of you, you're aware of him, and you guys don't cause a problem with each other. Drone avoidance was a feature that was introduced in version 3. Obviously, we've kept it around, and guess that's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward. All right, so here's the iPhone just sitting idle. The UAS Sentry is not open or anything. We have the Sentry running, and it is detecting activity around Mile High Stadium, or whatever we want to call it. And when it uploads the data, we should get a notification on the phone about there it is. And so now if we tap on the Sentry, it says we're logged in, and it brings us right to where all the activity is around Mile High. So that's how push notifications work on the phone. Okay, so I have gone to uassentry.com/map, and it is prompting me over on the left in this area to enter a username and a password. So I'm going to enter my username and password and hit submit. And here's all the activity that was picked up during our testing. And if we hold the mouse over the pilot icon, it'll tell us that law enforcement or super user mode is not enabled. Therefore, the remote ID is not shown. The Sentry receiver ID is shown, the date, the drone, longitude, latitude, the pilot, longitude, latitude. Drone was going, supposedly 44 miles an hour, heading 68 degrees, 3,000 feet between the drone and the pilot, 599 feet above the ground. It's not a known drone, and that's it. So you can click on any of the icons, like here's a green one. And this was a friendly drone. Remember, we tagged a drone as friendly, so that was identified as a friendly drone. So that will show you all of the data that the Sentry picked up. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you is the main difference between the screens of the ultra portable and the touch screen. So there they are, side by side. We've got the transmitter running. It's simulating 3 flights, 3 drones flying over the stadium where the Broncos play. And let's just go through the various screens. So we'll just hit next page on the ultra remote, and then we'll tap next page, and we'll go to the next page. Oops, there we go. One thing that we've added in version 4 is a screen. Whoops, I missed it. Let's go back here. On the third UAS page is a signal indicator, RSSI, showing how strong the signal is being received from the drone. And on the ultra portable, we have a button to power down the unit. So let's go ahead and do that. Well, actually, before we do that, if you press the top button on the ultra portable, it will tell you how many drones are currently actively in the air, and it will say how many inactive drones, in other words, how many drones did it see earlier, but now they've disappeared for whatever reason. And then you can select which, these are the remote IDs. And right now they're just labeled Broncos 1, 2, and 3. So let's go ahead and power it off. Press that. First thing it's going to do is upload the data, and then it will power off. Okay. So let's go to the touchscreen and focus more on it. If you want to force an upload, you just tap the upload button. Right now, I don't know if it's configured. I don't think it is. It's not configured to be on the network, so that doesn't do anything. We can change our operations mode. Right now, we're in perimeter. You tap that, we go to normal. One more time goes to drone avoidance. We can configure the Wi-Fi. Tap on that. It does a scan, finds all the networks. It found 2 networks. One is called Sentry Demo, which is a Wi-Fi network that I've got set up. So let's actually go ahead and select that. We hit 1 and hit enter. And the password is really easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. And we hit enter. It's trying to contact it. It connected, and now it will be used. It's going to do an auto reboot in 3 seconds, put itself on the network. And now if we hit upload, now it should upload it to the cloud. And it is. And then it will automatically upload the data every minute as long as there are drones in the air. We've got this concept of a known drone or a friendly drone. And if a drone is known, then it will not generate alerts. And so if this particular drone was a friendly drone, we just hit toggle known. And yes, we know that needs to be fixed. Now the color shows up in green, and it doesn't matter how close it is to the perimeter, it will not generate an alert. I think wraps up the discussion for the UAS Sentry version 4. If you look in the description of this video, you'll get more information about when this version of firmware is available. It might be available by the time you see this. And I guess that's it. So hope you found this interesting, and subscribe to the channel if you want to be notified about further things that we're doing around remote ID. Thank you.